a few months ago, I did file a resolution and we did have hearings on this measure. And and it was stopped by the President himself. Then suddenly, out of the blue, a few months back, ulit binalikan nila itong they are mandating again the use of this PMVICs. Kasi hindi ba pahinto after dininig natin sa Senado. Okay? So, does the DOTR, humingi ba sila ng paalam ngayon sa Malacañang at pinayagan ba ito ngayon ng ating Pangulo?
Mr. President, hindi ko alam. Ang alam ko, what they did maybe to pacify some groups is they lowered the price drastically. Kasi at first, they were charging like 1,500 yata, basta triple from the original, from the private testing centers. Now, tumaas man, konti lang. Pero ang problema kasi ngayon, Mr. President, before rolling out this project, they should have enough MVIS centers. Kasi ang ginagawa nila, hindi na pwede yung mga dating testing centers, lahat kayo pumunta sa MVIS centers. Ang kukonti lang nun. So, ang nangyari, nagsisiksikan. The reality is, Mr. President, and ito yung mga bulong-bulong, and it makes sense to me, malaki kasi ang ginasta ng mga may-ari nitong MVIS. So, pinayagan sila ng DOTR, binigyan sila ng permit, they spent, I think, between 30 to 50 million per center. Tapos sasabihin nila sa DOTR, tapos bigla ngayon, pinapatigil, lugi naman sila. So I think this is the compromise of the DOTR. But then they're funneling all of these motorists to this limited number of MVIS centers. That's where the crime is. They should have rolled this out thinking that there should be ample centers and the prices should be sociable. So yeah, that's the short speculation that I have.
But is it correct, Mr. President? But isn't it correct, Mr. President, that pinahinto to ng Pangulo?
Tama. In fact, we welcomed it and we thanked the President for making a swift decision regarding this. So I don't know if they had any internal arrangements with Malacañang for them to roll this out. Maybe the understanding is kung babaan natin ang presyo, okay na. Hindi na nila inisip yung mga ibang problema katulad ng kakulangan ng mga MVIS centers. So siguro, Mr. President, maganda rin klaruhin sa ehekutibo kung ito ba ay merong basbas nila.
It's a good thing that you asked that, Senator Recto, because we want to find out if this is the new norm. Remember, the President told us that to remove the face shields. The following day, the DOH said, ibalik. Ganun din yan eh. Di ba? Sinabi ng
Yes,
President,
Mr.
itigil
President.
sabi ng DOTR, hindi, balik. Ano?
Ganun din yung PhilHealth.
O pinahinto to ng Pangulo at hindi naman sinabi na ito dahil sa presyo. Di ba? Now, in the beginning, yes, that's correct. So in the beginning, magkano yung sinisingil nila, Mr. President?
Ay, nako. Alam mo, Mr. President, kung wala sa akin dito yung fee schedule nila, no? Pero kung hindi ako nagkakamali, from about, let's say, 500 pesos, naging 1,500 or more, 1,800. Basta nakakagulat. So, yun ang nag-umpisa ng ating pagdinig.
Correct. And I filed a resolution for us to investigate it. No? And because of that, we had a hearing and we passed the committee report at hininto ng Pangulo. Okay?
Correct.
Kung hindi natin ginawa yun, may monopolya na at ang tao ngayon nagbabayad ng 1,500 mahigit. Okay? So kung pinahinto ng Pangulo yan, isn't it prudent na dapat yung sekretary ng DOTR drive niya yung programang ito ay magpaliwanag muna sa palasyo at humingi muna ng basbas bago ipagpatuloy ulit ang programang ito? Wouldn't that be the more prudent action?
Yun nga po, Mr. President, syempre hindi naman natin alam lahat ng galaw dun sa executive branch, no? Kung meron ba sila talagang pag-uusap ukol dito para ipagpatuloy. Pero magandang klaruhin siguro yan. Dahil nga, hindi lang naman, gaya nga ng sinabi natin, hindi lang naman presyo lang ng testing ang ating kinukundina dito. Kasama na rin po dito yung pagpili nila ng mga concessionaires nila. Bakit yun ang mga napili? May tamang bidding ba? Sino-sino ba itong mga may-ari na ito?
Yes. And would the lady know, would the chairman of the committee know how many testing centers are there?
Mr. President, I think if I recall correctly from our last hearing, I think there are less than 50 testing centers. And then even with the 50, I think only about a little more than 25 was operational at that time. So,
Okay.
I mean, when you think about how vast our country is and you have only that many number of testing centers, you should really expect that there will be chaos in these centers.
And ilan naman kaya ang magpaparehistro dun sa 50 testing centers, Mr. President? How many vehicles on the average yearly ang nagpaparehistro?
Basta, Mr. President, okay, I don't want to invent facts. No, I can certainly answer that at the proper time and or supply the good senator from Batangas the data. But what I recall is that per testing center, if we just say that they were operational for 24 hours a day, that it will take years for them to accommodate the number of people that will go to those testing centers.
Yes. And how many vehicles do we have in the country? Isn't it that we have roughly what? 27 million vehicles, 18 million tricycles, and maybe 9 million other vehicles, if I remember the numbers correctly.
Well, Mr. President, just put it this way. Supposedly, one of every 3 families in the country has a motorcycle. So if, aside from that, some will have multiple motorcycles, not to mention the public vehicles that we have. So if we're about 110 million people, I think it would be safe to say that even a fourth of that would be at least 30-something million vehicles that
Okay.
need to be registered.
And if there are that number of vehicles to be registered every year at magbabayad sila, how much is it? Or 1,500 per vehicle?
Basta sir, ang alam ko, okay, ito yung
So
natin.
billion ang pinag-uusapan dito, is that correct?
Di ba parang, I remember, Mr. President, we were talking like the generated income would be about 10 billion or 8 billion pesos a year, and they just paid
Parang
like
15 billion if I recall eh. Yes.
oh, and magkano po ulit, Mr. President?
Mga 15 billion or more,
O
no?
basta, a lot of
And then
money.
would that be divided by 25 testing centers?
Right, and they only paid a minimal fee to get their permit to operate. Parang, basta, ang laki ng mawawala sa gobyerno dito sa mga binigyan nila ng permit to operate. What I have now is, well, as of now, there are 9.2 million vehicles registered so far.
Plus 18 million motorcycles, is that correct?
Most likely, Mr. President.
Okay, so that is the total universe na kailangan magparehistro. And the gentle lady mentioned that there are only, what, 25, 50 testing centers?
Well, supposedly now they claim, because I just got this, they have about 600 now, PMVIC testing. PMVIC testing is at 600. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the price. No. Yes, there are about 50. About 50, if I'm not mistaken. From the last time, there are 62 now, as of August 6. There are 62 PMVICs.
Okay.
To cater
And if you were to, yes.
So if we have 9.2 registered vehicles plus the motorcycles, I guess we can do the math. How are we going to cram them in the 62 PMVICs?
That's about 290,000 vehicles per PMVIC.
I suppose, yeah. So that's
Diba?
yeah, and how many would that be? Let's say 25 minutes
Eh,
per
na-
day.
including the right. And the reason why I ask this question is just to highlight the importance of this issue in support of the privileged speech of the sponsor. No? Napahinto na natin to a few months back. Kinampihan tayo in a rare occasion. Kinampihan ang Senado ng Palasyo. And we congratulated the Palace for doing so. Ang nakakagulat, after a few months, ulit, we are back to the same problem. Parang talagang pinipilit itong PMVIC na hindi well thought of during our hearing. Lahat ng issue. Didn't we invite also engineers, transport engineers from UP?
I think that would be a good idea just to give a more logical and scientific perspective.
Yes, no? So on and so forth. So I do not want to belabor the issue at this point. I do not have my files with me. But let me congratulate the sponsor for taking up this issue today dahil marami ang nagre-reklamo kahit dito sa amin, dito sa PMVIC. So thank you, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Thank you very much.